Check, check, 1, 2. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Midday Market Update. My name is Glenn Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Glad to be here. Glad to have you here. A lot of stuff. Disney had bad news. I saw a story on Disney. I think we are going to be talking about Disney because that's a stock that does report this week. So we're going to take a look at Disney. If you can hear me, by all means, besides Lou and Ralph, if you can hear me, let me know in the chat, preferably with VV Nation, and let me know that I am coming across loud and clear. So, as I mentioned, there is a lot of news coming out this week, especially about inflation, about oil. There's a Canadian holiday today, so the Canadian market is closed. I found out this morning in the Jockey Club. And that's a good thing. And no, I have not been drinking, Joey, trying to make me think that I've been drinking. Joey's going to be putting out, Ben's been drinking. So, no, I haven't. But a lot of stuff to cover. I'm waiting for the majority of the people to get into the room. We got about 42 people. By the way, how many of you saw Friday's video? Type a 1 in the room. Badger says, I appreciate that attendance has been frustrating for you and Joey. Please remember we are in the August peak season of vacation time attendance. It is. Wow, really, Joey? It is what it is. We watch all of that, Badger. We do watch all of that to see what's going on that affects views. It's vacation time. Totally understand. So as the people who are typing the 1 in the room, one of my calls to action was I wanted to get at least 500 likes on the video. Now, we didn't get that. But a lot of people did email me directly and stated that no matter how many likes we got, more people want to see that happen on Friday. So if that's the case, I wanted to get the real interaction. I wanted to see where you guys' heads were in regards to doing that on Fridays, doing a market app on Friday to give you better understanding on how to prepare for the next week. All right, so, and Joey put the link in there for the, was that for today's video or was that for Friday's video, Joey? Friday's video. All right, so that was Friday. If you hadn't watched it, excuse me, I still invite you to go watch it after today. After we're done at the live stream today, go watch it and give me your insights. Give me your insights. I was really, really looking to get at least 500 likes. That would really show me that you guys really want that to happen on Fridays. I didn't get there. So I'm still giving you an opportunity. Go watch the video if you haven't. Daniel says, I really appreciate your videos and live streams. I thank you for that very much, Daniel. We try very hard to put a lot of great information out. So with all of that being said, let's talk about what's going on now, what's going on later in the week, especially with reports that are coming out, with earnings that are coming out. Let's get you prepared for this current week. Looking at the color guard, what's the main color? Yellow. What does that still mean? Still means caution. And the primary wave is still down. I keep thinking that the market's going to have some more downside than it has upside. My last live stream, I did talk about, do you guys think that this is a buying opportunity now? And more people than I thought would say, did say that they think it's a buying opportunity. The market's not giving me that information right now. The market's not, in talking about that, all of the major indices are up. Looks like the Dow is the biggest mover to the upside. Let's do this though. Let's get into the software. And from the software, I want to show you why I think that we still got some more downside. All right, we're at, we've been talking about the July high. It looks like the July high happened on the last trading day of the month on July 31st. Right now, normally after the July high, the market tends to pull back until the fall time when everybody gets back from vacation. So from that perspective, I think that we've got time for the market to go down. Number 2, our market timing indicator lets us know when the market looks toppy. It's not toppy anymore, but if I put this on a 1-year graph, the higher it goes above this value of 1.5 to 1.6, the bigger the pullback. All right, the bigger the pullback. Here, big pullback. Here, we still have more downside in my mind. September swoon season is coming up. I'm waiting for buying opportunities. And I think that you're right, Alex, that the big buying opportunities will happen coming into the fall this year. We all know that there's a couple of more possible rate increases by the Fed going into the rest of the year. I think, depending on what the indicators say, he may pause again at the next decision, but I still think he raises one more time before the year is out. So we'll see. But, coming off of this, I'm going to draw a freehand line here. Here's the trend. There's the trend of the market from the low back in October of 2022. The market's still hitting higher highs. You can see, well, yeah, still hitting higher highs. So we got a rising channel here. But with all of that being said, let's talk about now. And when we talk about now, even when the market was rising, we're still talking about caution because of the indicators. Markets pulled back. 3 and the 8 have failed. We've got an up day today with a little buying pressure. I'm looking for two things to happen to let me know if the market still has legs to the upside. One, I'm looking to see if the 3 can cross above the 8. And number two, I'm looking for the short-term indicator, the primary wave, to go back up. Right now, we are in a down call, right? And this is the fastest indicator that we have. We're still in a down call and have been for the last 4 days. Even though we've got an up day, one day doesn't make a trend. So keeping all of that in mind, I still think that the market still has some downside. And something else that keeps me thinking that way as well. Let's go back to the news that's moving the market. And we're going to go right into the calendar. All right, here's the investing.com calendar for this week. You notice that because we've got a lot of Canadian investors between the US and Canada. I also put on here the Canadian news that's going to happen for the week as well. Canada, civic holiday. The FOMC Harker spoke this morning at 8:15. Bostic spoke at 8:30. And Bowman spoke again at 8:30. That was all today. I hadn't heard any feedback coming from what they said. Tomorrow is Tuesday. We've got export and imports. It's going to help to determine what's going on with our dollar. The dollar is low. The exports will be better, and vice versa for imports. All right, trade balance tomorrow. 3-year auction note, API weekly crude. Crude is big news this week. So crude oil inventories on Wednesday. Building permits will happen in Canada on Wednesday. And then more oil news. OPEC, core CPI. My mouse doesn't work. Core CPI. And you know that the consumer pricing index. And then we have PPI, the producer price index. Those are going to be two stories that the Fed's going to keep their eyes on, especially going into the next decision. So those could move markets, especially if they come in cooler. And where we are right now, where the 3 and the 8 haven't crossed, those could move the markets a little higher, but I'm still looking to see if we can get past the 3-month level of resistance. Robert says, I believe 75% of all companies have reported earnings so far, and that comes from FactSet. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my FactSet data. Where is it? Got so much stuff. FactSet. Got it? FactSet. There you go. Let's go give insights. Let's go earnings. Read more. There it is. To date, 84% of the companies. There you go. I wanted to back you up, Robert. 84% of the companies in S&P have reported earnings. Of the 79, let's go read this because I think that plays into this week. 79% have reported actual earnings per share above, which is above the 5-year average and above the 10-year average. In aggregate, though, earnings have exceeded estimates by 7.2%, which is what? Below the 5-year average of 8.4, but above the 10-year average is 6.6. Given this strong performance relative to the 10-year averages, how has the market responded? Companies that have reported positive earnings have seen an average decrease 2 days before earnings through the 2 days after earnings. The percentage decrease is well below the 5-year increase. In fact, if this is the final percentage for the quarter, it will mark the largest average negative price reaction to positive. No, Robert. I won't, because we pay for this. All right, so I can't give you that, but you can go try to check it out. All right, don't forget, you were going to check if that bio stock was in your list. Oh, we're going to take a look at it. We'll take a look. All right, so no, but you can try to Google it. You can try to Google it, FactSet. There's a lot of stuff that they do give for free, but there's a lot of information that we as a company, we do pay for. And this is where Angie Akers gets a lot of that information for the end of week report. All right. So very interesting that even FactSet, where we get all the data, we watch all the data, earnings, which is the engine that drives the stock market higher, is under some pressure. Companies' revenues are up. It's the forward guidance that's poor. Absolutely. And I got no indicator over the forward guidance. Even when Apple reported, I stated that I thought that they were going to beat earnings, but I didn't think they were going to beat revenues. They did both. And I think they barely beat revenues. They barely beat revenues. So with all of that, great news on Tampa. Oh, yeah, we're going to be in Tampa in January. Normally it's the first week. It's normally the first week. All right. So with that being said, looking at the economic calendar, this week is going to be key. Thursday and Friday. I need you guys to pay attention to that. And when we get to Friday, I think we'll do the market recap. That's going to be the Friday video, preparing you for the next week. You can easily look at all the companies' earnings per share forward guidance. Remember, our forward guidance, you can easily look at all the companies' earnings per share forward guidance. I can't because the forward guidance doesn't come out into the report. The forward guidance doesn't come out into the report. All right, so with all of that being said, what else is going on? JP Morgan backs off recession call even with very elevated risks. Not looking at politics. JP Morgan Chase economists on Friday bailed on their recession call. I still think that if we look at the word recession as it's on the books, we are already in a recession. The only downside or upside, however you want to look at it, is that the jobs market is still strong. It's still stronger than what the Fed would anticipate. So with that, you can take recession off the table a little bit because of the jobs market, because normally in a recession, not only are we in the situation that we're in right now, but the job market, unemployment tends to rise, but that's not the case. Right now, more people are looking for people than people looking for jobs. Williams says rolling recession, that is. Hey, I got you. All right. U.S. stocks are rising as investors focus on earnings and inflation reports. So I set the table with that already. This comes from investing.com as well. The Dow Jones is up, but it talks about Apple, even with the positive report, that Apple took the brunt of a downside on Friday, whereas Amazon did not. Inflation data is in the spotlight. The consumer price index is expected to accelerate 3.3 annually, up from 3 from the prior month. That's not good. All right, if it goes higher in the prior month, that means inflation is starting to rear its ugly head. And a lot of that's still going to come from oil. A lot of that is going to still come from people having income to spend. If people are looking to hire people, what are they doing? They're going to hire them at higher wages. And right now, I think on a shorter term basis that in people's wages, their increases are catching up with inflation since inflation has fallen. That puts more money in their pocket. But there's another side of that as well. A lot of people who are paying back the student loans have been on pause. So it puts that money back into their pockets. Should be spent on their loans, but they paused it. That's giving them more money to spend. That's going to end in October. And when that happens, all that disposable income that people had from not paying their student loans, they're going to have to pay their student loans. They're going to take a lot of money out. Just watch. Inflation is an issue. Entertainment sector dominates earnings. We've got Disney. We got News Corp. We got Fox, all expected rough, tough conditions. We're going to see that. Software maker Palantir and entertainment firm Paramount will make up some of the biggest companies unveiling their latest quarterly results. Palantir is in my list today. Stock that has beat earnings for 2 quarters in a row. Let's go see if they can make it for the 3rd quarter. And Paramount, let's go look at some of these companies. Disney, News Corp, Fox, Palantir. We're gonna hold off on Palantir, but we're gonna look at the entertainment companies in here just real quick. And crude retreats from the 4-month highs. Oil prices ended lower on Monday, edged lower on Monday, but remained near their highest levels since mid-April after top producers Saudi Arabia and Russia, and again, this is why I still think oil is a good play, announced plans late last week to extend output cuts for another month. And that's why I think that oil is still going to be a major player. All right, let's go to my viewers. Let's go to the big news. Let's go look at the entertainment stocks. Good morning, Francisco. Let's go look at the entertainment stocks. Let's go find them. Palantir, we're going to come back to. But there's Fox. There's News Corp. There's Disney. How many stocks? 16. What else am I looking for? Somebody else in here? Sigh. Why did that just happen? Fox. News Corp. Let's go Disney. All of these have earnings coming out this week. Notice that Disney is lower prior to earnings coming out. Notice that News Corp and Fox both are up prior to earnings coming out. All right, so I'm looking at all of these have relative safeties below 1. High probability they all miss. Earnings growth, though, look at the earnings growth on Fox at 15. The earnings growth on Disney is 7. The earnings growth on News Corp, though, is -5. They all have positive earnings. 1, 2, 3. They all have positive earnings, but only one has negative earnings growth. That's News Corp. Let's go look at the dividends. Dividends, 2 of them pay dividends. Fox has a dividend safety of 47. That's not very lovely. News Corp, though, does have a dividend safety of 55. Anything 50 or above is a good thing. All right, so if I'm looking at these, Disney is still going through some stuff. All right, and I look at things like the theme park, exorbitant prices, and people are still paying a lot of money. That could help the bottom line. That could help revenue if people are still spending the money to go to the parks. I look at Disney streaming. Disney streaming, it's such a convoluted, tight spot. Everybody in the streaming space is trying to garner viewers, and it's all about the data. It's all about the content. And you've got the Marvel universe on the Disney. You got the Disney. I don't know if they've lost anything in viewership, but I look at Fox and I look at News Corp. Fox got hit when they got rid of Tucker Carlson. All right, and now Jesse is on the Fox, and he's in that spot. I don't know. I don't know if the revenues are going to be there. I think that because people are willing to spend the money to go to the theme parks, that the revenues for Disney may not be bad. We'll see. All right, so those 3 companies are reporting earnings. Oil is on. I'm keeping my eye on oil as well. That was part of that news. I was looking at oil. I still think that with the tightening of the supply, oil's got nowhere else to go but up. It's got a relative timing of 1.2, VST above 1. The CI, it's volatile, back and forth. That's why CI is below 1. It is a buy when I'm looking at USO. There's other oil stocks that I can look at, but I personally like to look at USO. Wow. Badger says Glenn, Tucker, Ryan, Jesse. Ooh, be interesting. Anyway, I still think that oil is a good play. I still think that, as a matter of fact, I'm going to right-click, view on the stock graph for oil, put this on a 3-month graph. There it is. Down day to day. Actually, could be a little bit of a hanging man, could be a reversal. Actually, it looks like a bearish harami as well, coming off of a 3-month high. Let's go to my graph layout. Where is it? Let's go put on Glenn trade. Where there he is. That's now looking at the 3 and the 8. The 3 and the 8 are still strong on oil. All right. The stop price is rising. The volume is pretty good. I still think that oil is a good play. All right, a down day today, possible reversal. We'll keep our eyes to see if we get confirmation tomorrow, but I still think that oil is a good play. What were the other ones? Well, let's go back to that. Go to Fox, go to Disney. Let's go view their graphs. All right, let's go view their graphs, see where they are over the last 3 months. There's News Corp, nicely coming off a level of support. This is prior to earnings, all right, or earnings is later this week. I like the move. I like the move. Earnings growth. Where's that at? Negative. And still, I'm not feeling it as far from an earnings perspective. I do like the technical move, bouncing off support. 3 and 8 look good. And let's go look at Fox in a channel towards the lower part of the channel. Again, look at the earnings growth falling. All right, look at the earnings growth falling. Got to be careful with USO. It's futures fund, not a stock fund. Backwarden Nation is a real thing. Daniel, if not USO, I would look at, and I personally trade this one. I play WTI. I'd personally play WTI. Is it at 17? There it is. There it is. I'm personally in that. That is more so of an oil stock, Daniel. So I'm with you. Let's go look at that 3-month graph. A little bit to the downside. I like USO better. I own this, even though the 3 and 8 are negative, but I still think that where oil goes, WTI will go as well. So that is more of an oil stock. How about that, Daniel? All right. For many of you, you may not be in it right now, and I'm okay with that. I personally am playing it, but a little bit of selling pressure, a little bit of a shooting star followed through the day, right at a level of support, though. I'll keep my eyes on it. Earnings growth is falling as well. All right, any questions on the entertainment stocks along with oil? Any questions about the entertainment stocks that are reporting this week along with an oil play? All right, let me give you a moment to answer that before we move on to the next story. All right, I know we got a delay, so nonetheless, even when I get into my next story, if I need to answer any questions. All right, Paramount was in there too, wasn't it? It was. I don't think I put that up in there. I'll put that up in there real quick. Paramount was another one reporting this week. There you go. General question: is your earnings per share from FactSet? No, our earnings per share is forecasted 1 year out. We look at current data, we look at past data, and we look at forward guidance. I don't know if we look at the forward guidance from FactSet or not, but we do so that we give our forward guidance as well. Fox was pulled from your satellite. Wow, really, William? I didn't know that. I'm not ready to look at stocks yet. Please don't put them in. I'm only going to give a warning because then I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ignore them until we get time to go look at them. We'll look at individual stocks when I give you an opportunity. Okay, Harry? All right, so then let's go look at Paramount. Where does that sit in the list? Where does Paramount sit in the list? Towards the bottom. All right, but prior to earnings comes up for it this way as well. Let's go right click. Let's go view the stock graph. We'll add this one more. Put this on a 3-month graph. Paramount, little bounce here off support, 3.8, but right at resistance. Right at this resistance level of 1637. And it looks like that downtrend looks like it might have been broken. That's a positive sign. Earnings growth is falling on that one as well. Again, we haven't gotten to all my earnings yet. I got a whole list of earning stocks. Paramount I like as well. All right, where's the earnings growth though? It dropped, but it stayed steady even after the drop. It did drop, but stayed steady. So I'd rather to see that than to see a steady push down on earnings growth. All right. Now let's get to my next story. Next story is on Tesla. Big news. Tesla stock drops 3% as the CFO stands down. Now, when you're looking at a...
Can you make that small?
When I look at news, in the background on a company, normally a change could be a positive sign, especially if the company's not making money. Tesla's already making money. So the CFO stands down. The master of coin. I don't know much about it. Why he fell, why he's leaving. Tesla said it named Chief Accounting Officer Vaibhav Tana, the CFO. He will be replaced by an experienced successor, stepping down after 4 years in the role and 13 years with the company. The executive team has been relatively stable for the past couple of years. I don't know if this makes a big difference for Tesla. They've already hired another person, but it's still big news. Let's go see if the news is going to affect Tesla adversely. Let's go to Tesla. Tesla's in my list. There it is. There's Tesla. Stock is down 2.7%. The company is sound. It's a sound freaking company. All right. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's in an uptrend. It's a buy recommendation. It grows their earnings at a clip of 26% a year. It doesn't pay a dividend. Mr. Elon Musk, you want your company to really grow? Put out a dividend. You got the money. You got the money. I would be all about let's make it happen. But nonetheless, it is overvalued. If you don't like overvalued stocks, you would stay away from it. Let's go take a look at the Tesla story. Look at the graph. So the CFO steps down. Stock was moving down. Do you think that Tesla overcomes the step down of the CFO? Type of 1 if you do. Type of 2 if you think Tesla's in trouble. Type of 1 if you think that Tesla overcomes this and just keeps on about his business. Type of 2 if you think that Tesla is in trouble. I don't think Tesla's in trouble. I do see the downward move from the high, but I also, how about that? Lee says Tesla's in trouble. Lee, I can't get on board with you with that. It's a solid company, man. It's a solid company. They put out a lot of cars. They sell a lot of cars. Rivian and Lucid are in trouble. Yes, Lucid definitely is. I thought I had a story for both of them. Lucid is in trouble. They are cutting prices, but they're having a problem. And they're one of the most expensive cars out there. It's one of the most beautiful EVs out there, Lucid is. But they started cutting prices because they ain't selling them. Tesla has a major market share of EVs, that's why they're the big boys. All right, Tesla, can it rebound suddenly? I don't know, suddenly. I do have a level of support, all right, which is sitting at the value of $240.70. Let's go see if that holds. It's like $6 below where it is right now. It's got a solid level of support. I wouldn't get on board with Lee until it closed on an end of day basis below that level of support. But that's a beautiful level of support, which includes a gap back here in early June. So from that perspective, I think that Tesla is fine. All right. Albert says $12,000 per car cut. You're talking about on Lucid. Remember, their cars are so expensive. And if money is tightening, people are not going after those big cars, those real expensive cars. And I did talk about Tesla is going to be in India putting out a $24,000 car. I think that Tesla's already got the market cornered and everybody else is just trying to catch up. All right. Tesla's biggest risk is Musk. I hear you. But as long as he gets away from Twitter and he concentrates on Tesla, I think they'll be fine. Any questions on Tesla? Any questions? So this was a news story, not earnings. This was a news story because of the CFO. And I think we needed to cover it because it's out there as news. Is it going to affect them adversely? I think they're going to be just fine. I think that they're going to be just fine. If there's no questions, I'm going to move on to the next story. What about Rivian? Rivian and Lucid, I'm going to talk about in a second, Nick. Rivian, there was bad news on Rivian. I think being able to provide the cars. Any EV that's out there that's worth its weight in salt, it's got to be able to provide the cars. They can't be late to the game bringing the cars out. They got to be on point and they got to exceed. If they can do that, they'll be fine. But they're still playing catch up to Tesla. All right, and there was bad news that came out on both Rivian and Tesla. All right, let's get to the next story. The next story is for those people who are looking for dividend-paying stocks. JEPI is a stock that you guys have talked about a few times. Nice dividend. But I'm also going to talk about another one, SPYI. SPYI, for those of you who are looking for investment, dividend paying investments, I want to take a look at both of these. JEPI, let's go and find it. Okay, there it is. And the SPYI. Both of these are ETFs, but as I scroll over, I want you to look at the dividend yields on these. Holy smokes. That's some dividends. And the dividends are safe. I'm all about both of these. JEPI has been mentioned in more than one live stream, but here's another one to the mix. NEO's S&P 500, the SPYI. Look at the dividend yields. Look at the dividend yields. I like to accommodate every type of investor in a live stream. From a dividend perspective, I like them both. Let's go view the stock graphs on both of them. Big dividend yields. Be careful chasing yields though, but let's go put the dividend, add parameter, dividend yield. Go add that. Let's take off the growth for a second. Now, interesting that the dividend yields are high. They're falling. I didn't see that until I looked at the graph. Dividend yield is high but falling. Even with that, could that be a bearish divergence? It could be. But I do like this bounce off of a low. The 3 and the 8 are about to cross. Very good open candle today on JEPI. No wick at the top, no wick at the bottom. Keep your eyes on that. If you're not in it yet, I would definitely wait for the 3 to cross above the 8. And this is a relatively new one, SPYI, to give that JEPI a little bit of competition. Again, I would wait for the 3 to cross above the 8. The dividend yield on this one, though, is rising. The dividend yield moves opposite of the price. Is that what you're saying, Chris? So the yield is high, but the price is falling. The other one was the dividend yield was falling, but the price was high. All right, gotcha. All right, so but the new one, the SPYI, I still want you to keep your eyes on the both of these. From a dividend play, for those of you looking for the longer dividend plays, I would definitely keep your eyes on them. How would a drop in interest rates affect them? Need to research. And I would probably research that as well. You know me, I come with a lot of great information, but if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to try to give you an answer off the cuff because that's not how I want to play. There's some yellow flags around the sponsor of SPYI. Do your research and be careful. Thank you for that, Brian. I'm putting it out there. I like the yields. And maybe that comes out to be a video sometime in the near future. All right. And better to look at the dividend price if falling rather than the yield. I'm a big fan of, I did a video recently, in the last couple of months, talking about be careful of chasing yield. That's why I like dividend safety. We give you dividend safety in the software. They're both above 50, though. They're both above 50. All right. So those are my dividend plays. Any questions about those? I'm bringing them to the table because there's a lot of you that like to play longer term stocks. You're going to do that. I'd wait for the 3 to cross above the 8 before I pull the trigger on them. I'd wait for the 3 to cross above the 8 before I pull the trigger on them. But these are on my radar as great dividend plays. All right, let's go to the next story. Next story is yellow. Trucker yellow goes bankrupt after debt. The reason why I'm bringing this story is because I talked about it. When was it? In the Jockey Club this morning. I think that the stocks to offset yellow going out of business. The thing is, filed and will remain shuttered after the trucking firm's long-running financial woes are compounded to dispute with its labor's force. The carrier listed assets of $1 to $10 billion and a liability in the same range. In Chapter 11, the filing gives Yellow breathing room from creditors as it winds down this business. Now, it's interesting because I saw on Friday the stock shot up, and I'm like, why? Why would anybody still be holding the stock? And I guess for the reasons of they can make some quick money on it before it goes away. Julie says, please cover any could squeeze. That might have to be and that might have to be a video on its own. Julie, we'll see. Between me and Ryan, we'll see. Yellow is a meme stock now. I know. Again, knowing what was going on with yellow, I'm not a big fan of telling anybody to go buy and even to scalp it. I'm really not. But if I go to my list, I got a list of other stocks in the space that should pick up business. Saya, Old Dominion, JB Hunt. These are the companies that could benefit from yellow. Yellow was a big company. They had a lot of business. The people who did business with yellow are going to have to find other companies to do business with. These are the three of the biggest ones out there. So that's why these are on my radar. Now, all three of these are down today. But if I'm looking at from a CI perspective, 2 out of the 3 have CIs above 1. That's Saya and Old Dominion. JP Hunt's got a CI below 1. All 3 of them, though, have VSTs above 1, which I'm good with. Where's the earnings growth? The earnings growth sits with Saya and Old Dominion. JB, you know something? JB looks like the laggard out of the top 3, but that might change with a lot of people leaving from yellow needing to find a new company. All right, I look at the dividend. JB Hunt pays a dividend with a dividend safety of 74. Old Dominion, holy smokes, with dividend safety of 99. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so if I'm looking at which stocks I would put my money in, I like that Saya's at the top of the list of VST, but I also like from a dividend play, ODF. JB Hunt is probably going to be pulled up, but I'd like these other 2 stocks better. And I think that these are stocks that have the ability to benefit from yellow going out of business. All right. If there's no questions about those, again, these are stocks to keep on your radar. And it makes sense. It definitely does make sense. All right, let's go to the next story. Here it is. Palantir renews WestTrac partnership for 5 years. The reason why I love Palantir so much, one, because it's a machine learning software, which is big for the AI space. But Palantir produces the ability for any company that it does business with, no matter what it does, to take the data that they have to bring it into useful information so that they can be better in what they do. Palantir is just a stock that I think is freaking phenomenal. All right, long term. But 2 quarters in a row, beat earnings. This will be the 3rd quarter. Let's go see if it does. But they keep getting contract after contract after contract, which is eventually going to turn into money. All right. Now, Stephanie says, even they are overvalued. Now, let me talk to you about if you're not comfortable with buying into a company that's overvalued, don't. Now, the reason why I'm okay with buying overvalued stocks right now, Stephanie, is because the market is so overvalued right now. Why? Because people are putting money into the market, because money goes where money grows. The interest rate at the bank is still not high enough for people to put money, for the money to grow there yet. So yes, a lot of the stocks that we talk about right now are overvalued, and that's because there's a lot of money going into them rather than going into the bank where they're not making any money. So, Stephanie, if you're not the one that likes to buy into overvalued stocks, by all means, do not. By all means, do not. But one of the things that I do like about looking at an overvalued stock is if it is overvalued with a relative value above 1. Those are called glamour stocks. I've done a video on that long time ago. So that if I'm going to look at a company, even though I may not be comfortable buying into overvalued stocks, I can have a little bit more comfort that their upside potentials are above 1. Now notice that JB Hunt, this was the one that I said was at the bottom of my list when looking at these stocks. It's got a relative value below 1. Again, now my thoughts still go back to Saya and OD. All right, so the story that we're talking about now is Palantir. All right, are you comfortable to keep stocks this week with all the numbers coming out, cop and job and other things? What do you think about market pullback? Amir, I think that I cannot guess at what the market is going to do, but I can prepare you. Remember I said earlier in the presentation today that these, whether it's the oil or whether it's the inflation information, could move the market in one way or the other. All I can do right now is tell you to be prepared. If you're in stocks long, don't be afraid to have stops on them. Why? Because if you look at the color guard, we got a lot of yellow. Take what the market gives you. So could I be ready for another pullback because of the numbers? Absolutely. But could I be ready for the market to move up a little higher because the numbers coming softer? Absolutely. So either way, but I cannot prognosticate and tell you exactly what it's going to do. I'm prepared either way. Does that make sense, Amir? So if we go back to the homepage, and this is where it starts from. What's the main color you see? Yellow. Oh, Joey, can they see the whole thing? I'm looking at your screen. They don't see the whole thing. But a lot of yellow there. Because there's a lot of yellow there, I'm going to tell you to be careful. All right? And the news can go in either direction. All right? But Palantir, I like. Amir says, last week I'm down 3%. That's not overly bad, but it all depends on how much money you have in the market. Nobody wants to be down ever. I would rather you be down 3% than to be down 30%. That's where the tightening of the stops come into place. All right, so I'm just saying that. Glenn, are you trading SMCI over earnings? No. I don't have any tech stocks right now. I'm not holding any tech stocks right now. There's a lot of people that are still in SMCI, and that's fine. We looked at it in the Jockey Club this morning. There's nothing telling you to sell it. Depending on what goes on with earnings, I think that they beat on earnings. We'll see what happens with revenues. We'll see what happens with revenues. But I think, again, that's another company that beats on earnings. All right. So with that being said, Palantir, I still like. We'll see what happens with earnings. All right, let's get to the next story. Dang it. Let's get to the next story. TSMC. That goes along with the SMCI. I like this story. Why? Because they're expanding. Now, the problem is they're expanding in their, even though they're not in China and Germany is friendly with us with trading, all right, TSMC to decide in favor of German factory on Tuesday. Expansion. What does that do? That helps the supply chain. TSMC, again, my kid works for ASML, which has a direct collaboration with TSMC in Arizona. They're holding off on production of the chips. That's going to hurt them for a bit. That's on ASML and TSMC. But I like the story that they got, expanding out, even though it's in Germany, expanding out to put more chips out there. That's what it's all about. Is Coinbase a good place for a sell put? We'll look at Coinbase. I got a story on it. All right, so TSMC, I will put SMCI, even though TSMC is the one that made the story. Where's TSM? TSM's towards the top of my list by VST, fundamentally sound. I'm actually going to add in SMCI because, and I could do AMD and NVIDIA. I might as well. AMD, NVIDIA, all of these stocks in the chip space. But SMCI is still one of the best stocks in our database. Let's go look at that. TSMC and AMD. All of these chips, this is all still stemming from AI, super micro. Let's go look at the graphs of all of these. SMCI is a power play. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a power play. Look at that. Now, look at the pullback and look at the 388 hold. Look at the pullback and look at the 388 hold. Would have kept you in it. And it's still now at a 3-month high. Am I going to tell you to sell it? Let the stock tell you when to sell it. Let me expand this line out. Here's the upward trend. It fell below the trend line and now back above it. I'm not going to tell any of you to sell it yet. Would I tell you to sell half? Absolutely. Absolutely. How about the geopolitical risk? You talking about with TSMC? In regards to, I'm not sure what you're asking, G. What are you asking? The geopolitical risk with the chips? And I love that TSMC is going outside of, just China. And, that's Taiwan Semiconductor. They were primarily in Taiwan. But anybody, TSMC, I think they're going to be fine. All right, until China then decides that they want to go up and take Taiwan Semi, then that's another whole story. But listen, I'm going to cross that boat when we get to it. I'm going to cross that bridge when we get the boat to go across the river of the lake that's in the ocean. All right, so what if war happens? Then TSMC is going to be under some pressure. Absolutely, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if they've got locations outside of Taiwan, they can still do business, which is why I like the expansion. God forbid there is war. Taiwan Semi can still operate. Does that make sense, G? They can still operate. And the more expansion outside of Taiwan, because they got it in Arizona, they're going to be, it's going to suck, but they can still do business. All right, Daniel says, I don't think you want to be on the boat. Listen, I'm a Marine. I'll be on the boat. I'll be on the bridge. Just give me an M16A2 service rifle with iron sights. I'll be on the bridge. I got this. Okay. So SMCI still is a power play. Looking at NVIDIA, a little bit of a sideways move right now. All right, not as powerful, but still okay. And if I look at TSM, there you go. So G is right. Are they starting to feel the effects of the geopolitical stuff? Possibly. But this is also the news that they had to delay opening up the Arizona branch. That's a lot of it too. All right. That's a lot of it too. It's an ecosystem, semiconductor. And it is an ecosystem. But I think that when you expand outside of one territory, you keep your supply chain open. And even if they are under some pressure in Taiwan because of possible war, they can still do business. That's the way I look at it. And I think, again, Taiwan Semi going down, it's got a level of support right here sitting at the value of 96.03. I'd still a little bit below it right now. I'd be careful with Taiwan Semi. If I'm going to be in the space, I got SMCI. And then here's AMD in a channel as well. Let's go draw right here. I got a little channel as well on AMD. Out of the four, SMCI is where I want to be. SMCI is where I want to be. All right. Any question on my chip stocks? It was really a Taiwan Semi story, but I think adding the other stocks in that space was not a bad thing to do. All right. Any stories? Daniel says, I want to be Glenn when I grow up. Joey, don't you want to be me when you grow up too? I think Joey wants to be me when he grows up too. Right, Joey? He doesn't want to answer. So you don't want to be me?
No comment.
Wow. All right. Let's get to my next story. All right. Next story. This is big for those people who are trading crypto. The deadline for a ruling on ARK's application for Bitcoin ETF is near. All right, I'm going to couple that up with another story. How about PayPal launches first dollar-backed stablecoin from a major U.S. financial institution? Its launch comes as market participants await a vote in Congress' key stablecoin bill, which is just advanced to the House with 3 other crypto bills for the first time. PayPal said its stablecoin function is to reduce friction for inexperienced payments in virtual settings and allowing direct flows to developers. Same thing that the Fed now is doing. Joey says he's been there, done that. Huh? Do you think AMD and NVIDIA competing in stock value, one up or the other down? I think, the whole idea was to put all of those stocks that were in that space together to make a comparison to determine from the standpoint of mid-market update which ones I would rather to be in. That was the purpose of doing that. All right. So Fed now is out. I think it's in the background being looked at as digital currency payment. And more of this is coming out, and it's in Congress now, as you can see. There's some follow through. And someone said PayPal is down. Joey like clean better. APLD important for the AI infrastructure. APLD is important for that. I'm not ready to look at that stock yet, Ocean One. So what am I looking at in this? I'm looking at PayPal and I'm looking at Coin. All right. And I think that was it. Those are the only 2 that I have for crypto. I think that having a crypto ETF might not, I think Coin is sort of like that. but it's not. It's a stock. Having an actual crypto ETF, which we don't have in the database yet, might not. And Arc's trying to put one out. PayPal is got its own stable coin. It's moving up today. It's moving up today. It's got good upside potential. The safety's not there. It is in a downtrend. Earnings positive, and they grow their earnings at a clip of 16%. And G, it is rising. It is rising. I don't know what you're looking at, G, but it's up today, 2.4%, which makes sense. All right, which makes sense. It is moving up. Let's go look at these two stocks real quick. I think the PayPal news is good news. Let's go to a 3-month graph. Wow. Good news, but is it enough? Is it enough to buy now? Look at that. Wow, it's got to fade that end of day gap. What's the difference between RS and CI? Relative safety looks at a company's ability to meet or exceed earnings expectations quarter over quarter, year over year. CI is the stock's ability to withstand long or lengthy price declines. So when I look at CI, high CI stocks go up more than they go down. High relative safety stocks have a better ability to meet or exceed earnings expectation. The difference between the two. One is a fundamental indicator in relative safety, and one is a technical indicator in CI. We've had crypto ETFs in Canada for a long time. Do we have a crypto ETF in the US that I don't know about? A crypto ETF? Anybody put one out there? Because I don't know about it. Or probably I do, and I could have forgotten about it. But I think, I totally think that PayPal could be, based on the news, having their own stablecoin backed by the dollar. That could be really good news. I'd wait. I love that. The low is way back here. I do like the move. I'm really, you know what I'm thinking about? I need a couple of things to happen. Well, there's a swing low right here, about 65.80. Let's see if we can get above that. But bet more, I'd like for the 3 and the 8 to cross above. All right? That's what I'm really looking for. News, trading at the session highs. Love it. Let the stock come to you. I wouldn't jump on board yet. Unless you want to be super aggressive, you go for it. But if I want a little bit more confirmation, let's break above that level of the former swing low, current level of resistance. I'd really like for the 3. It's got room before he gets off there. That's what I'm looking for before I go buy into PayPal. Any questions on PayPal or coin? I think the ARC story of whether they get approval for an ETF is going to be big for crypto. I like this story from PayPal in regards to their stable coin. What is BITO? I don't know. Isn't that a singer? I got my hand done. Good as heck. BITO. ProShares Bitcoin. Oh, so that's a crypto ETF, right? That's a crypto ETF. Let's go take that out. So there it is. BITO is it. Wow, so ARC's trying to get one, but BITO is one. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure. BITO is one. It's going down. I still think crypto's got in the crypto winner, but I do like the PayPal. PayPal. You know what else I like? T0, and that came from Bed Bath & Beyond. I did a story on T0. A lot of you made some money on that. All right, so I like PayPal, and I like that T0. Any questions on this? BITO is finding support. Yeah, right about there. Either there. I'll ease it up a little bit more. I got a level of support sitting about 14.17. Wow, I got more. Thank you. Mark, Lisa's not here. I don't know. Hey, email that to me, Mark. Email me those. I didn't know all of those were crypto ETFs, but thank you. I just give information. Actually, here's another level of support that it's really at. How about that? Right at 14.96. It's just below. Let's go see if it holds. XP. Yeah, Drew just gave them to me as well, but Mark gave me more. Drew. Mark is better. Mark gave me more. Okay. I think I just put that out there. But Mark didn't have GBTC. He didn't have GBTC. So Mark, send those to me by way of email. All right, so that's my crypto. There's some possible crypto news to keep the market moving up. And last but not least, that was the fact set. That was the bonus stuff. Mark is mucho better. I think so too sometimes. Unless I have him in timeout, then he's not mucho better. All right, let's do one more story. No, I'm running behind. I'm really running behind. Let's go out to the big news. I think I covered all of the stocks that were in here. All right, if I'm looking at any of these, I still like SMCI from the chip space. How about this? Again, the truck companies, how about Saya and DFL feeling that? Tesla, because of the news with the CFO, I think they'll be fine. Oil, I'm keeping my eyes on that. I still think with the supply issues, oil's got no other place to do is to be up. The problem is, William, we don't track currency, especially on crypto. We don't track currency. Oh, on oil, that was my other stock. On oil, USO, TDW. View the stock graph. TDW is another powerhouse in the oil space. 3 months. That's another powerhouse. 2 days down, though. 2 days down. Does that mean panic? No. I'm going to give you, if you own TDW, I'm looking at the 3 and the 8 end of day before making a decision. And then I've got a level of support sitting at 61.90. Does that answer your question, Tom? 2 down days right off of the 3-month high. I'm looking to see if the 3 and the 8 close end of day to the downside, but I've also got a line in the sand sitting at 61.94. All right, so they may hold them, but if it's an actual cryptocurrency, William, we don't track currency. We don't track foreign currency. We don't track cryptocurrency. All right, Sarah, hold on looking at your individual stocks. TDW was in my list for oil, so I was going to show that. All right, earnings this week. Let's talk about that real quick. My earnings, the longer we go, the less amount of stocks that I'm going to look at from you individually. So stop putting new stocks up there. All right, Rivian is up there and Lucid was up here. I think earnings, there it is. There they both are. Let's go. We were talking about that. Let's view the stock graph. Earnings are coming up for both of these this week. How do I feel about it? 3-month. Where's the earnings per share? Let's add that. Earnings per share is rising on Rivian. We'll see. We will see. Big downturn. The 3 and the 8 have crossed to the downside. Right now to the downside. 2 days ago, I'd be careful prior to earnings. And the same thing with Lucid. There were actual news articles that came out about them. I was going to add them today, but I had enough news to talk. About it. I was in TDW type base before it took off. WFRD looks the same, does. Yeah. There's a lot of great oil stocks to keep your eyes on. All right, what else is coming out this week? Technoglass. That's one of my stocks that I like in the building space. It's got a relative safety above 1. I'm okay with that. Eli Lilly is coming out. Wendy's, Skyworks, Six Flags. People are going to the parks. It's a sell recommendation. Only one of the few sell recommendations in here. Canopy Growth. I got a weed play this week. Novavax. I think they're going to get hurt because no more COVID. I think looking at Novavax, looking at Moderna, looking at Pfizer, those were the 3 companies that had the vaccine. If nobody's talking about COVID, these companies put a lot of money into the vaccine and nobody's selling them. Then we'll see. Alibaba reports this week a relative safety below 1. Depends on what's going on. Negative earnings growth. I don't know. I don't know if I want to hold it prior to earnings. But, we don't know. We don't know what they're going to report. All right, so these are my main companies out of the earnings. Gold, we talked about that in the international user group. It's not the right time to be in gold. Not the right time, but they report this week too. BioNTech is another company that was with Pfizer for the COVID vaccines. They report this week as well. SoundHound, I'm looking at that from an AI perspective. We'll see. So here's all of this, the main stocks, again, sorted by relative safety. These are the companies that I feel a lot more comfortable with when it comes to earnings. Anything with a relative safety below 1 could go either direction. I can go either Beyond Meat. Who still cares about Beyond Meat? At the bottom of my list. Towards the bottom of my list by relative safety. Negative earnings growth. It had its play when it first came out. Now, I'm not a big fan of it. unless people are want to get healthy. Comes back it up again. All right, let's go talk about my phase 3 stocks for last week. Look at that. Look at that. Remember, the whole reason of me giving you the phase 3 stocks was to help you to find when this happens. That's the reason behind that. How many of you actually pay attention to my phase 3 stocks? How many of you actually pay attention to my phase 3 stocks? Only 2 stocks went up, though. But this is the reason why I give you these, so that you can possibly have that happen. It was in my list last week. All right, it's in my list last week. All right, let's go see what stocks I've got for this week. See what stocks I got in here for this week. These are my phase 3 stocks for the backup to, and all of these have phase 3 stuff. Now, the question is going to come up. Which one of these is going to go up like that? I don't know. All I want you to do is keep your eyes on them. Keep your eyes on them. That wasn't one of the stocks that I had on here. I can add that. How much is it? AXSM. How much is it? I try to concentrate on stocks $20 and below. Try to concentrate on stocks at $20 and that's why I wouldn't have made my list. Taking that off. I'm trying to I work on the stocks pretty much $20 and below. Some of these are even penny stocks. How do I find the companies for that watch list? I have a subscription to Biopharma Catalyst. I pay for a subscription to Biopharma Catalyst so that I can get this information. Right, Daniel? That's how I get them. All right, so if nothing else, again, I want you to keep your eyes on these stocks. All of these have phase 3 information. Last but not least, let's go look at your with the way that the way the market is. I still also want you to concentrate on country ETF. Excuse me. On a day like today, that's mixed. These are up and down. Before I do that, I think, and I'm going to do this for tonight's video, make sure you watch it. I comprised a list of ETF, single stock ETF. And I'm going to talk about some of those in tonight's video. All right, so that's my stock themes for the week. Thank you, Mark, for getting me that information. We'll talk about which ones are moving up the most. So those are going to be part of my stock top weekly picks for the U.S. market. We don't have access to your phase 3 drug watch list, right? You will just share an update. And that's what I do. That's why I've got them for last week. All right, just to show you what they did on a week-over-week basis. And then I give you a new. What are phase 3 stocks? I'm going to pay attention now. Stocks that are in. I got to keep moving, though. Hold on. Biopharma Catalyst. Count. Sorry. Why I'm putting all that up out there? I'm already signed in. I'm still signed in. And I got a list. Database screener. Go through it. Right here. That I column show all stage phase 3. I go through. This is where I get my list from. But I pay for this. But I pay for this. It gives you information on the phase 3 stuff. Ta-da. Right? That's where I get my list. All right. How much time? We're over my time. So, weekly customer picks. I'm looking for the top 10. Looking for the top 10. Now is your chance to type it in. I'm only looking for 10. I'm a little bit over time. But we talked about a lot of stuff today, which is always important. Always important. All right. Here we go. CCJ. I like CX2. LABD3. AAPL4. SOXS5. Rock 6. Ulta 7. EXTR8. CEG 9. One more. Who's going to be it? Who's going to be it? One more. MVST. Got you. MVST 10. All right. There's my 10 stocks for this week. Only one sell that's on the socks. I'm still on board with that. Still on board with that. Let's go graph them all real quick. Well, let's do this. Which ones have the best upside? EXTR, Ultra, CCJ. I'm all about uranium. Constellation, Gibraltar. Let's go look, see which ones are in the fastest uptrends. EXTR, Rock. LABD. Look at that. MVST and CEG. Let's graph them. Let's see on 3-month graph. I like EXTR. Big wick. Follow through today. Big wick. A little bit of dark cloud cover right there. Be careful with it. Don't be afraid to take some of that off the table. All right, that could be a reversal, which would be confirmed by tomorrow's action. Rock moving right off the 3-month high. This is where I'd give you a line in the sand right at the gap. If it closes below that level of 71.85, I'd take half off the table. A little bit of indecision today. CX, building cement, still a hot spot to be in. Let me hit that. Look at that. Still moving. I like the space. That was a big shooting star, no follow through. Look at the pullback. Look at the 3 holding. I love it. Keeps you from being anxious. LABD, big jump. New 3-month high. Volume's pretty steady. I think it might pull back to meet this level of support. I'd be careful with it. If you're in it, leave it alone. If you're not, I'd like to see you take out the 3-month high. Let's go to the next one. MVST, auto truck replacement parts. The 3 cross Friday. Even though it's a green candle, it's a closed green candle, which means the price is lower than the open. I'm not sure I want to continue holding that, but if you're going to hold it and you want to hold it long term, there's a level of support sitting at 222. All right, I'm not sure you want to keep holding that. CEG still running. Clean energy still running right at the 3-month high. Love the earnings per share. I'd be fine with that. Looking at CCJ, I like uranium. I think it's a great alternative clean energy source. I think there's going to get a lot more interest in people building nuclear generators and nuclear power plants. CCJ, UUU, UEC, all of those uranium stocks are stuff to keep your eyes on. I know it's 4 or 5 days off the high, but look at that gap down, hammer formation, filling at a lot of positive signs right there. Going to the next one, Apple. As much as I love Apple, I'm not in love. I'm not playing it. Just not playing it right now. From a buy to a hold over the last 3 months, big move. The earnings it wasn't all that for me. All right, Alta ran. You know what else is getting ready to hit again? Elf Beauty. Look at Alta and Elf. Alta's pulling back. We just got to, and right in where we are here in Cornelius, we're getting a new Alta Beauty in right over where we are. But Alta and Elf, keep your eyes on them. Alta, not yet, not now, but I would also keep my eyes on. And the last stock on the list is SOX. Again, as the market starts to think about wanting to go down, this is a good bottom fishing country ETF to look at. Good bottom fishing country to look at. All right. We covered a lot of stuff. And we looked at least 10 of your stocks. All right. So this is what we do. Leah's right. Hit the like button. If it was worth it for you to stop by today, hit the like button. If you're brand new to the channel and you like the content, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to do either one of those things. But that's how we grow the channel. I try to bring the energy and the entertainment, but the information every live stream. All right. I try to answer as many as your questions as I possibly can as well. All right, with that, we got to go. I got to record tonight's video. Joey's looking for that. So I think I am going to put a little bit of added sauce in there for the single stock ETFs that I want you to pay attention to. All right. Make sure you watch it. It comes out tonight at 6 o'clock. Support the channel, support every week. And I give my top weekly picks for the US, Canada, and AU. All right. So if you're in any of those countries, and I do it every week. UVXI, what to do. And Stephanie, we just talked about that. Glenn, that shirt color is your color. Thank you. Joey doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. No, LJ, I'm not going to answer that. Nope, not going to answer that. Let's wait till my next live stream. Joey, what time are you and Glenn golfing this afternoon? I got too much to do, and I got to get my kid to the airport. So with that, let me go. Adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara, aloha to all my peeps in Hawaii and in the Bahamas. Bom dia, salam, shalom, namaste, yasu. Until the next time, folks. See ya.